Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 30-year veteran writer, illustrator, comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And, well, I got some light a little bit in here, so my lighting's a little bit goofy. Hopefully that won't be too bad for this episode. Sorry for the late start. Just had a kind of last-minute kerfluffle with the computer and had to reboot and stuff. So once it was straightened out, I got on as soon as I could. Alrighty, we've got a lot to talk about. We have question and answers, we have reviews, we have crowdfunding talk, we have what's in previews. So let's get started. Let's go with the question and answers first. It's a multi-pack question and answers. First question of the day. TC asked, did you see the rant that Brian Hibbs went on his Facebook page about how Dark Horse is going to Random House, and that's for distribution in 2023, so that Diamond will only be a wholesaling group for them at a lesser percentage if the retailer orders through Diamond, and how this is all Diamond's fault, that there's multiple distributors and whatnot? If so, what was your reaction? And if not, could you read his rant and respond? Oh, Lord. Yes, I saw the rant. I've already talked about Brian in the past doing this sort of thing. He's got no grounds to complain. There's been plenty of historical fact to the point that both he and the majority of the comics retail community failed to support Milton Greep at Capitol. They failed to support numerous attempts over the last 25 years to rebuild regional and national distribution chains to counter Diamond. And he can complain about DC going to Lunar and then everybody jumping ship and everything all they want. But the reality is, everybody knows that Steve Geppe's looking to retire and he's looking to sell the company and he hasn't been able to sell it yet. So, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to wait until he decides to shut the whole thing down? So, I kind of I laugh at Brian Hibbs. I scoff at him. He doesn't get it. Yeah, it was amusing, I guess, for what it was. The next question. Anonymous asks, do you have to give something a chance? What I mean is I was watching someone else's podcast, that'd be Perch, and they did an episode where they said you don't have to. I guess what they mean is if you try a single issue or a single episode of a TV series, a single issue of a comic book or a single issue of a TV series, and you don't like it, it's not for you, are you still obligated to keep with it in hopes of it improving, or you having to turn around and liking the content? What is your take on this? No, you don't have to give people the opportunity, the chance to entertain you. I mean, it's much more difficult in today's society for comics when they're $4 to $6 an issue to sit there and say, okay, I read the first issue and there's nothing here. Do you really want to invest another $4 or $5 to see how the next issue goes, or the next issue, or the next issue? Especially when so many writers take 6 issues to tell a story that they could have told in a single issue. So, yeah, I can understand the frustration exhibited there. And so technically, no, you don't have to wait and give people an opportunity. But at the same time, I think it's just a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's something, yes, there's a lot of times where you will see me buy stuff that I don't care for the first issue or 2 issues, and I still keep buying to get a whole set. And part of the reason I do that for the show is because I'm reviewing for the whole show. So it's good for me to go through the whole process of getting a whole story arc, at least, when I'm reviewing them. But for a casual consumer, if something's not for you, you tried it, you didn't like it, that's okay. At least you tried it once. Um, I think that's all anybody can really ask of you in that respect. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody saying, you don't have to give it any further a chance. Or you can go by a solicitation or advertising and see something and say, that's not for me. You might decide you don't want to read, whatever it is because you didn't like the solicitation or you didn't like the commercial on TV or at the movie theater or whatever. That's okay. Not everything is something that you have to support. Okay, next question. Eric W. asks, as an editor, what do you think is the toughest part of putting a project together? Getting the creative team, getting the publisher to go along with the pitch, figuring out a budget. He gave several other things, but yeah. That's a multi-layered question, but the answer is all of the above. They all kind of go hand in hand, but it also depends on the project. Often times when you're working for a major publisher like a Marvel or a DC, you might have a really cool pitch, but someone above you, higher up, will say, nah, we don't want to do that because it wasn't their idea. Other times they'll give you no budget and then tell you, well, go get the best talent you can. You can't get the talent you wanted. So, there's different aspects to that. But, if you are out there building a product as an editor and you're seeking out specific character projects or seeking out a certain project for certain creators, the greatest difficulty is sure getting the publisher to sign off on that and get you a budget so that you can afford to do it. And then this next difficult thing is to make sure that whenever you do get slated into the budget and get slated into the schedule, that your book's not going to get buried by somebody else's nonsense. And what I mean by that is, you have a really cool idea, but you get buried because there's 7 new Batman #1s because we got to promote the new Batman line or whatever. That's what I mean by burying your book by getting buried by someone else's nonsense. And that's happened at DC numerous times. It's happened at Marvel, where some really cool ideas have gotten shot down or they got made, but then they didn't really get marketed because it was more important to market 17 bazillion nonsense books. So I think those are the more difficult aspects of editing in management in terms of that. As far as the most difficult part of being an editor, I think it's more just trying to balance the communications between your creators and your employer, and it's not just on terms of creative elements, but also all of the business side of it, the banking, making sure everybody's getting their pay, getting everything to the payroll, getting all the paperwork filled and turned into HR and stuff like that. So making sure everything's done that way. I think those are probably even more difficult aspects of being an editor than the creative side, because the creative side is at least theoretically enjoyable and entertaining when you're working with other people because you're wanting to create these cool stories. I think the more managerial side of it's the more tedious, I guess you could say. Next question is from our friend Miguel Esser, still in Illinois. He says, do you think the problem with today's comics are that they are woke, or is it that they're just boring? So many of them are just talk about their feelings, and there's nothing going on in the stories, and they take forever to get to the point of the plot. Have today's writers lost the ability to have anything actually happen in their stories? Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Miguel. I think it's the latter. I think that a lot of the stories are just kind of boring. Part of that is because of the sense of moving books that normally would be plotted for like 1 or 2 issues and expanding them into 6 issues so you can collect them into a trade. And they don't have anything, there's no meat to the story. So you get 3 and 4 pages of them talking while they're eating a hamburger or something. And you're like, what's the point of this? You're losing not so much characterization, but characterization that furthers the plot of the story. And I think that's where I think a lot of people are losing interest in the more modern comic, because there's no, everything's kind of just about who the character is and not what they're doing. What are they doing? What is their, it's not about, well, what's my motivation for doing something? What are you doing? We'll figure out the motivation of why you're doing something as we go, but be doing something. And a lot of the times you see things going on that just don't work in that regard. They're more interested in about, well, I'm, this race, or I'm this sexuality, or whatever. And ultimately, most people aren't really caring about that. They want something. They want a story. They want action. They want something going on. And that doesn't mean that you can't have something going on in correlation to someone's sexuality or someone's race in some context, but it can't always be filtered through that perspective. Otherwise, you're going to get pretty one note and pretty dull, I think. And I think that's where a lot of people are complaining about that kind of writing, because that's what they're perceiving it as, even if it isn't. So I think that's where a lot of the so-called woke comics negative sentiment comes from. Okay. If you have questions that you want to ask me, you go ahead and write me at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTRQNA. Thanks to my friends for asking those questions, and we'll try to get those questions out there more frequently. Okay. Our next topic is, what did I get this week? Well, I got 4 books. I got, well, let's see. Let's start with CREEPSHOW. Number 1, $3.99. Publishers Image Comics, Skybound, I guess GN Cartel as well are kind of the 3 parties. This issue was written by Chris Burnham, Paul Dini, and Stephen Langford. Had 2 stories in there. Chris Burnham also drew his, and John McKay drew the Paul Dini story. The colorists were Adriano Lucas and Mike Spicer, with lettering by Pat Brousseau. However, the cover artists are too damn many to list here. We'll get into that in a minute. The genre is a horror dark comedy series, and it was released on September 21st, 2022. What it's about. This is a new launch of the concept CREEPSHOW, based off the classic 1982 Stephen King one-shot book with art by Bernie Wrightson, based off the George Romero film. This features 2 short stories. Take One, which is a Halloween-themed story about kids take more candy from the left-out trick-or-treat dish than they should, and what happens to them as a result. And Shingo, which is about a monster who is called to a birthday party while the kids' parents are oblivious to the monster eating the guests because they're too busy arguing about their failed marriage. Can the kids figure out how to stop the monster, or will they be just desserts? First, let's talk about the praise. This is a nice cover here by Burnham. It looks very nice. And the stories are both very well done and have the CREEPSHOW vibe to them. I enjoyed these series very, very much. And Burnham McCrae did a really great job with the artwork. McCrae especially caught me off guard with the very nice Maurice Sendak homage of sorts for the Shingo monster character. So I was very pleased with the stories. However, we have a rant. This damn book has 21 different covers. Yes, I did not stutter. 21. There's this here main cover, 19 different variants, and a blank sketch cover. This makes me want to return the book to the store almost. Image, there's no justification for this. None whatsoever. Somebody needs to be boiled in oil and tarred and feathered for it. I'm sorry. You just don't do that. You do this great comic and then you undermine any and all credibility it can have by doing gimmick covers. Look at this shit. We got a cover by Chris and Adriano. We got a cover by Delkin Shelby, Vance Kelly, Robert Hack, Brian Silverbacks, Ivan Tao, Felix Morales, Tone Rodriguez, Joseph Schmalke, Rob Siski, Scan Surzawan, John Jiang, David Mack, Miguel Zapata, Shin Potter, Tyler Kirkham, Tony Mack, Steven Russell Beck, Cyril Neely, and Casey Parsons. I know maybe a third of these people. And I'm thinking the other ones, why are they even important? I don't get it. They could have and should have just done Burnham's cover, a blank sketch cover, and then everybody else you have covers from should have just been pinups in the back, and you could have had a double-sized issue for the first issue, and that would have garnered you far more response and far more respect from retailers. All you did here was make retailers waste their budget for however many handfuls of fans are actually going to want to waste their money on a full set of this shit. And that makes you complete and utter fucking assholes. I'm sorry. And that just killed this book for me. Be better than this. Now, if you just want to read the Burnham book, the stories are great. For the stories, I'm going to give it a 4.5. But for this negative, I got to give you negative 19 stars for all this extra cover bullshit. I'm sorry. So that puts you at what? 4.5 minus 19. That puts you at negative what? 14.5. Not good. Not good. So, sorry. And I really hate having to do that, but and I understand it's not just Image. It's not just this title. We're going to talk about this trend a little bit more as we go through this episode. But come on, damn it. This is ridiculous. Next book. Or actually, let me show you some of the art. What the heck? This is the Chris Burnham and Adriano Lucas art for the Take One story. The older kids are teasing the younger kid. He doesn't want to take more than just one. They're telling him, well, if you don't take more than just one, I'm going to tell everyone you still wet the bed, blah, blah, blah. So he takes two. And then the other ones empty the whole dish and they leave. And the kid feels bad, and so he eats one of them as a way to hide the evidence, so to speak. But what happens is the old man who owns the house where they got it from is like a zombie type guy, and he chases after them. And it's a really cool story. I don't want to give it up. I don't want to give it too much. It's a really good story, though. Burnham really aced that one. The other story is drawn, of course, by John McCrae, and like I said, I really did like that as well. It's got a Maurice Sendak, Scotty Young feel, but it's definitely McCrae's work. There's Shingo the monster. Basically, the party doesn't have any entertainment because the father's late and the mother's having a fit. And she's like, I wish I could just, I was trying to get a clown, couldn't get a clown. And then she goes outside, the doorbell rings, and there's a card with the Shingo thing. So she calls the number, and Shingo arrives. And it turns out he's a monster who eats everything. So he's like eating the kids while the mother's not paying much attention. Then the father shows up with his entertainment, as you can see here. And it's a character, girl, cosplayer girl, that's actually his new girlfriend. But the kids are like, what's going on? Who is this guy? And they find out that he's a monster that consumes kids and stuff. And like, oh, we got to stop this. And so the kids are asking her, the cosplayer chick, hey, could you call the police for us? This is really bad. And she's like, I don't know. And meanwhile, the parents are outside in the yard arguing about their failed marriage while this guy's eating all the kids. And finally, the daughter, whose birthday it is, has to like save her friends and beat up and destroy the monster and rescue all her friends. But it's funny. It's really well done. I do love the stories, and I'm not saying don't buy the book, folks. I'm just saying, they need to cut with the covers like that. Okay. All right. Next book. Where Starships Go to Die, number 4, $3.99 from Aftershock Comics. Writer Mark Sable, artist by Alberto Locatelli, colors by Wancho, lettering by Rob Steen. Genre science fiction, released September 21st, 2022. What it's about: the trio of scientists trapped leagues below the ocean as our governments try to blow up Point Nemo, as they try to reach the Daedalus and survive the alien infestation that's protecting. What exactly? Are they trying to stop the violence of humanity from spreading beyond Earth, or are they simply anti-human? It doesn't make much sense. Can the scientists figure out what's going on and escape to safety, or will they be buried with the rest of the ships where starships go to die? This issue is very padded. Apparently there's going to be an issue 5. I think they could have resolved the story in this issue, but they're keeping it going. There's only 18 pages of actual story. And all they did was kill an alien entity while stupidly shooting a gun into the bulkhead of an underwater craft, which of course implodes the damn thing and floods the compartment when you are fathoms and fathoms and fathoms deep in the Arctic Ocean, by the way. Sealed themselves away from that compartment. Then they decide they need to escape while arguing with each other about why the alien is doing what it's doing. Then they face another alien entity, or maybe the same alien that they just shot reconstituted, and one splits off from the other two, and so that they can get to the other two can get to the escape pod while the one who splits off basically sacrifices himself. All of which could have been told in half the number of pages that they actually did draw a story for. Boy, not good. As I said back on the August 30th show, where I reviewed issues 1 through 3, there was so much more potential for this story, but it's just paint by numbers science fiction recycling going on here, and I wish it was much better than it is. The cover art here is much better than the interior art, of course, as it always is. It is a 16-up story. Unfortunately, I was giving it 3 through the first issues, but this one's even worse. It's 2.5 stars. Here's the interior art. As you can see, there's nothing inherently wrong with this art. I'm not knocking the art, but it's not on the same level of quality as the cover. The cover is clearly, what you're trying to sell the book with, but if you're trying to sell the book with that, your interior should be indicative of what's in the interior as well. So, it is what it is. I don't know. And then here's some more where they come up against the monster they thought they just killed. Stuff of Nightmares, number 1, is our next book. $4.99, publisher Boom Studios. The writer is the famous Goosebumps writer R.L. Stine, art by A.L. Kaplan, colors by Roman Titov, and letterer is Jim Campbell. Covers, again, 2 made the list, but only 9 compared to CREEPSHOW's 21. The version shown here by Francesco Francavilla. Again, the horror dark comedy genre, released September 21, 2022. The Monster Makers Part 1 introduces us to the Nightmare Keeper, who is a mysterious host narrator who has a collection of oddities, each with their own horrific tales. Then he begins his story about two secretive scientists who are basically modern-day Dr. Frankensteins who have created a number of mutated and mutilated monsters. They are discovered by a young couple who are out on the beach on a moonlight picnic. The woman happens to be a young reporter for the local newspaper, and they hear the howls of the mutilated humans leading them to the lab. The scientists and their girlfriend try to explain the situation, but when the curiosity of the reporter reveals the horror of the mutated monsters, she freaks out. All this is being captured on her phone's video camera, being live streamed, and someone watches it live and reports it to the police. One of the two brothers unlocks the monsters, and they attack the couple, consuming them alive in cannibalistic fashion. Horrified by the events, the older brother realizes the whole thing has been leaked to the public, and they burn the lab and flee with a little boy Frankenstein monster in tow, supposedly killing the rest of the monsters in the lab. What do I think of this? Well, it was interesting. I almost could have seen this as a done-in-one story. But since Stein seems to be doing a 4-issue arc for this story, I don't mind that he chose the particular pace he did for the story and where he's leaving it for the cliffhanger. The art has a Mignola-ish flair to it at times. This, of course, is a different artist than what you see on the cover. Not that there's anything wrong with Francavilla, but it's not reflective of the interior art. Again, if you're doing that, you really should have your interior artist reflect on the cover. Particularly, though, it looks Mignola-ish when he's doing the Nightmare Keeper segments at the bookends of the book, the front and meaning the first couple of pages and the last couple of pages of the issue. We never get to see the Nightmare Keeper's face, and I hope that remains the case throughout the remainder of the series. I like the shadowy silhouette that makes the character more engaging via the mystery, and revealing his actual appearance will probably detract from that and make the character lesser. Unfortunately, the story itself isn't all that special. It's not like we haven't seen this plot a bazillion times before, but if you are a Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark fan, I think that the book will satisfy you. Again, recommended for ages 16 up, violence, gore, death by cannibalism, stuff going on. So I really can't recommend it for anybody younger than 16. And it's a 3-star book. Let's take a look at the interior art by A.L. Kaplan. As you can see, this has a very Mignola-ish look to it. It looks nice. It's very nice, very clean. The line art's a little bit, his line weights are a little bit thinner, but he also goes with the heavy blacks to create shadow effect. That's good. Whereas Mike does a little more thicker weight lines in his stuff, but you could tell that very Mignola influenced here. This is more of the middle of the story where the couple are talking on the beach about her wanting to be how she's not happy with it because the papers getting rid of all their print work and they're going strictly digital, and she wants the old school newspaper. And then they hear the sounds of the monsters howling and they're like, what's going on? And then she goes looking and confronts them more or less what's going on. And then this is the flame. They got this huge fire going on, and there's the two lab guys and their girlfriend carrying the infant or small boy monster with them. And that's the end of the issue. And then he cuts back and says, well, this is the end of the first chapter, and screams and flames. But you know what? I'm beginning to wonder about those scientists' ethics, aren't you? But did they really leave a house full of crazy critters behind? Somehow I think those mongrels may return to bite them, so to speak. And of course, you see this little stuffed or whatever object here that's in his group, and that's probably the little boy in the end, but we don't know for sure yet. It's to be continued. So there you go for that one. Our next book, whoops, there's one missing. I will come back to that because there is another piece in here. Let's add that in and get it in here. Don't want you to forget our Usagi Yojimbo number 31 for $3.99. Publisher IDW. Writer artist Stan Sakai with colors by Hi-Fi Design. Genre is anthropomorphic samurai adventure, released September 21st, 2022. It's been a while since I reviewed Usagi, but as always, recommended for ages 10 and up. It is the perfect comic, 5 stars. This one's about the secret of the Green Dragon, Part 3. The ninja Chizu, Usagi, and his sidekick Yukichi are traveling in the snow-covered mountains while being pursued by the Bat clan of the Komodi, who want a confessional document that they happen to be carrying, which will prove that Lord Hayuki was implicated in the death of someone and cause all kinds of problems. Can they make it to their destination and get the evidence to where they need to, or will they be betrayed by the ninja Chizu? As always, this is the only guaranteed 5-star comic. Stan Sakai should be an international treasure of our industry and the medium. He should be talked about incessantly for his amazing talents. And frankly, I would do it, but I honestly get exhausted trying to come up with new things to say about this series. And that's why I haven't been talking about it for a while. But yeah, as always, the best of the best of the best. So make sure that if you haven't read this series, do yourself a favor, folks, and get Usagi Yojimbo. Okay, now that covers what I got this week. What else do we have to talk about? Well, we also got previews this past week. Now, we didn't get the Marvel and DC stuff because Marvel and DC can't be bothered to put their catalogs out at the same time as the actual previews catalog anymore. Now they're not with Diamond. Go figure. So we'll talk about Marvel and DC solicitations probably next week. But for now, we'll see what's in that little bad boy catalog, okay? Obviously, from the cover, we have a new Gargoyles ongoing series from creator Greg Weisman. That's coming from Dynamite Publishing, of all places. You'd think that Disney would cut the redundant Marvel crap comics out and just make this a Marvel title, but no. I personally never got into the cartoon of Gargoyles, but I know so many fans of it that I'm sure that it will garner respectable readership as long as it's properly marketed by retailers. And with Weisman writing, the creator of the series for the cartoon, it should be exactly what fans expect. So moving right along, again, there is no Marvel and DC discussion because they can't get their catalogs out. I will discuss releases whenever I get their stuff. Let's start with Image Comics then. Image seems to be putting out a lot of new books lately. There's Art Brute on page number 1, on page 32, which is from the same creative team that does the popular Ice Cream Man comic. Then there is Hexware, number 1 of 6 on page 36. That is a book that I've got listed for myself as a maybe. Let me see here. That's by Tim Seeley and Zolima Scotta-Lavina. There's a cover, I don't know. But chances are I'm going to get the cover A because I like the cover. And the storyline is why buy your soul, or why sell your soul when you can buy a new one. And apparently it's about a android maid called Witchware, who basically sells herself to the devil to try and rescue or save the soul of the daughter of her owners who died. And it's a pretty wild idea. I love the cover there. It's really nice art. She's kind of like a robot maid. She's trying to help them. So we'll see where that goes. I'm probably going to get that. Okay, what else is an Image here? They have Radiant Pink, which is a spin-off series from Radiant Black. So if you're into that, make sure you catch up with that. That's on page 40. There's All Against All, number 1 of 5 on page 44. If you've been a fan of either Gaiga or Homesick Pilots, both series I have reviewed on this channel in the past, this series might be of interest to you because those are the writer of Gaiga and the artist of Homesick Pilots are teamed up on this. Apparently, Mark Miller is going to have a series called Nightclub on page 47, which is probably what is screwing up Aaron Lopresti's Nightclub over on his book and crowdfunding. And I just, boom, shoot Miller in the head. I'm sick of Mark Miller. Doesn't he have enough crap on the market as it is? Quit screwing around with my man Lopresti. Oh, and by the way, this book is $1.99. Take that, Marvel and DC. That's what he's got advertised on the page. It's sad. I can do a book for $1.99. Yeah, you can do a book for $1.99 when Netflix is paying you millions to do your thing on TV, buddy. Not everybody can do that. But there it is. Look at this. This series will be $1.99. Take that, Marvel and DC. Yeah, more like, hey, take that, retailers. I'm only gonna let you charge $1.99 cover price. You're not gonna get any profit off this damn book that I'm making. Well, I'm making a mint from Netflix. You're a douchebag, Mark Miller. Nobody buy this book. Punish this guy. Punish him. I'm telling you, he deserves it. Punish him. Next, we have Ed Brubaker and Marcus Martin have a new trade paperback Friday Book 2 on page 48. That's worth your time. Of course, we just showed you CREEPSHOW number 1. Issue number 4 of 5 is on page 63. There's a completely different group of creators, but Burnham does still do the main cover. Thankfully, they only seem to have 3 covers for this issue, though. Thank God. 21 covers for a book. I don't know if it's going to take me a while to get over that. Junkyard Joe number 3 by Jeff Johns and whomever the artist is here. Let me check real quick. That was on page 70, right? Page 70. Gary Frank, that's who it was. I couldn't think of his name. I had to go look. I'm going to get Junkyard Joe just because I want to see what comes out of it. Probably going to get the C cover. That looks like the best cover. Again, they have like 4 or 5 covers for this. I wish, I wish to God that there would be a way to put a law in that you can only have 1 cover and a blank cover, and that's it. I really do. I think it would be beneficial for the whole industry if we did that, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, and lastly, Voyages number 2 is on page 84, and I talked about Voyages number 1 back on the August 30th episode. I'm looking forward to that series. Hopefully it will be good. Our next group of titles is from Boom Studios, rather. Know Your Station number 1 of 5 is a possibility, but it's also one of those SF woke type stories about social class in the future. I've got it listed as a maybe. It's on page 88. And, it's about basically the wealthiest people in the solar system who abandoned the Earth for a private sanctuary in space, leaving the rest of humanity to die amidst whatever cataclysmic climate change or whatever is going on. But of course, the 1% aren't going to stay safe for long because a murderer is on the loose, and they're specifically targeting the super rich. So, someone who's an employee of this billionaire space station has to figure out who's doing the killing and stop it before it happens. Supposedly, or maybe she's the one doing it. Have to wait and see. The next book, of course, is A Vicious Circle, number 1 of 3, and this is about a future assassin who apparently time travels whenever he kills someone and bounces back and forth between timelines with someone else who is possibly another assassin. And each life that each one of them takes forces them both to travel between vastly different past and future eras. They'll start in 22nd century Tokyo and go to new 1950s New Orleans, to the Cretaceous era and beyond. And these two mortal rival assassins are locked in a battle of wills that spans millions of years. Well, that's interesting, but at the same time, I don't know. It's a maybe. I might look at it. The funny thing is, when I look at the art by Alex Garner variant here, it's almost like, hey, it's Black Superman, Black Clark Kent, with a bunch of guns pointed at him, and you can see all the blood bounced off him and stuff. It looks kind of weird to me. I don't know, but I don't know. It's like Quantum Leap Assassins or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not interested. I'll have to kind of like wait and see it in the store, I think, before. I mean, the artwork looks decent for it. They do a preview of it. This is Lee Guillermo. And, Guillermo's a good artist. I don't think there's ever any question as to his quality of artwork. I just don't, the concept is kind of to me, I guess, a little bit. And again, more Numeho artwork. And again, it looks nice. It's all very well done, very well executed. I don't know if I'm sold on the concept, but we'll see. We'll see. Of course, there is a Book of Slaughter one-shot on page 104. If you're into the whole Something is Killing the Children franchise, make sure you pick that up. David Hembucher's Specs, number 2 of 4, which I talked about number 1 last month. Think They Live, the film with Roddy Piper. It's kind of a redux of that. That's listed on page 117. Then there's Eve, Children of the Moon, number 3 of 5 on page 19, or 119 rather. Of course, I've recommended Eve, the original miniseries, before, so I recommend this as well. And of course, we just talked about Stuff with Nightmares number 1. Well, number 4 is on page 120. David Hembucher also writes Firefly, Big Damn Finale on page 122, which I hope is the last Firefly story. But, we'll see. I don't think it will be. But, that's kind of they kind of make a big deal about that. So, okay. Maybe it's the last one for Boom. But we'll see. It says it comes to a stunning conclusion in a double-sized series finale. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not a huge. It's not that I'm not a Firefly fan. I was a Firefly fan on the TV show, but with Joss Whedon stuff, it's usually about the cast and their performances, and not the writing of the characters particularly that really grabs me. So, without the performances, the stories don't really go as well for me. So let's go ahead and move on to Dark Horse. We have Gru, Gods Against Gru. That's Gru the Wanderer, of course. Number 1 of 4 by the legendary Sergio Aragonés, with Mark Evanier as his writer, of course. This is on page 137. They have Elephant Man 2261 Omnibus, volume number 1. That's a possibility for me on page 143. We have Resident Alien, I think it's the Book of Love, not the Books of Love, but I might have been typing too fast. Let me check real quick. Where are you? Yeah, it's the Book of Love, not the Books of Love. Okay. I just was typing too fast. Definitely getting that. I don't like the TV show, but I do like the comic. I don't know how to explain that to you guys. It's just how it is. And of course, they have the Lonesome Hunters trade paperback by Tyler Crook on page 155. Of course, Crook is the artist for Harrow County with Cullen Bunn. But this is about an old and out of practice monster hunter in hiding, crosses paths with a young girl that forces him to confront his past and his demons as the beasts invade their tenement, and they set off on a supernatural road trip to stop the ancient evils. So it's a pretty cool idea. So I might get that. It's 104 pages, $19.99. That's on page 155. It's possibly a good thing. Most of the other Dark Horse stuff is the usual shtick from Bendis, Mignola, Lemire, and company. So if you know their stuff and you like their stuff and you haven't gotten bored to death by it, like I have, you know where to look for it. Let's see. Dynamite Comics, of course, we've already covered Gargoyles. They're going to have 6 covers at least. Ugh. Roll my eyes. Sigh. Pretty much the usual stuff from Dynamite, though. It's the usual bad girl books. You might be interested in Lord of the Jungle, which is Tarzan, #2 by Dan Jurgens and Belego. Daniel Jurgens is writing, and Belego, who is the artist on the Tarzan comic book script, is the one who's doing the artwork for the comic. Let's see, that's on page 181, I believe. So let's take a quick look at that. Benito Gallego. The cover by Philip Tam doesn't impress me much, but again, here we are with 5 different covers that you can pick from, so I don't know. But actually, I guess there's 10 covers. There's 5 basic covers, and then there's black and white versions and virgin covers which means the artwork without the text on it. Whatever. It's a virgin cover. Let's wrap it up in a condom. Anyway, Jurgens should be able to write it pretty well, and Gallego is a good artist, so hopefully that'll be decent. They also have the Peter Cannon Thunderbolt #2. That's by Fred Van Lente and Jonathan Lau, and that should be okay for what it is. I'm probably not going to get it because I'm not a Peter Cannon fan, but certainly the character has a long-standing history, and I can see people checking that out. Aftershock Comics. Hold on a second, folks. I gotta do something here. That's just driving me nuts. Where's the Aftershock? There we are. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, Aftershock has some pretty slim pickings this month, in my opinion. There's maybe All Night and Every Day, which is a one-shot book. Let me get to that real quick. It's about a person who is grief-stricken, and her friends drag her out to a party at a nightclub and end up trapping her in a hellish curse, a party that never ends, with no way to escape, not even by dying. So now she has to navigate the labyrinth of the legendary banquet Hideous all on her own and learn the terrible secrets before she's consumed forever. It's a 48-page one-shot written by Ray Fox, best known for Constantine and Gotham by Midnight, and artwork by Andrea Fratella, which I am not familiar with this artist. I guess they're a Italian artist over in Europe. They're known for Brigada Gordiani, which I've never heard of. So I don't know. The artwork looks okay. I'm not saying it looks bad, but the concept just isn't really appealing to me. But that might appeal to some people on page 214. There is Fear of a Red Planet, number 2. I talked about number 1 last month on page 216. And there is the last line, number 404 on page 219, not 218, 219, by Richard Dinnick and Jose Holder. I haven't actually looked at this, but the cover grabbed my attention. This is actually the concluding issue. But this is a planet hopping train, so that's interesting. But I don't know. I don't know how I missed this one in the past, but the cover looks sort of interesting. Of course, Andy Clark is the cover artist, and that's why it looks good. And here we are selling Andy Clark with Jose Villarrubia on the cover, and I have no idea what Jose Holder's art actually looks like. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to have to go back to my comic shop and see if they've got any of the back issues to see if I want to get the trade, most likely, because it'll probably be easier for me to get the trade than get it in singles at this point. Titan Comics on, let's see, there's Blade Runner 2099, of course, or 2039, pardon me. And that's on page 228. This is, of course, a new ongoing series. Well, it's not an ongoing series if there's 12 issues. It's a limited series, but whatever. This is the new story arc, shall we put it that way. I'm not going to get into the whole storyline. The series has won Best Licensed Comic late in more recent months or years from multiple parties, including Multiversity Comics. It's written by Mike Johnson and Mello Brown with art by Andreas Guinaldo. Decent enough, respectable enough art team. Of course, he can't be bothered to do the cover. They got 4 different other artists doing the covers. But, I don't know. I've been reading Blade Runner here and there. It's kind of hit and miss for me. We'll see. There is, of course, Kamen Rider 01, number 204. The only reason I'm getting this is because of the writer Brandon Easton. I'm really not into it or anything like that, but we'll go ahead and check it out. And then we have Kamen Rider Kuga number, which is volume 3, which is the original manga translated into English. And I'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. But I'm more interested in the Brandon Easton stuff. There's another Blade Runner Black Lotus number 1 through 4 collector's pack, which is limited to 750 copies. It takes place after the events of the anime series. That's on page 234. And that's kind of the whole for Titan. Ablaze Comics. Well, I know I'm supposed to be all about the Family Time book on page 241, 240 and 241, because it's co-written by an 11-year-old, Lily Wyndham, with her father, Robert Wyndham. And it's just not for me, unfortunately. If you want to read the adventures of a super family teleported back 1,000 years in time to make a go of it and try and stop some medieval tyrant, that's cool. I don't think that art is... There's not a whole lot of... Well, there is some art here. Okay, let's go ahead and show you guys the artwork real quick. Here's the art from the story. They're going to be sent back to face a medieval tyrant, and whether the daughter is going to have superpowers or the little brother or whatever, I don't know. But they have to figure out what they can do and not do and stop the tyrant. It looks like it's something that could be okay for an all ages book. It's just not grabbing me personally. What is grabbing me, however, is Zero Kokare's Tentacles at My Throat. um, I don't know. It's a coming of age story in the artist's life, primary school, junior high, and adult life. Complete stories told in 3 parts with have 3 moments in common of having something choking you, holding you down, or whatever. I don't know. But this is the second graphic novel, and it's being translated. And this book has been reprinted 19 times since its initial release in Italy, and it has over 120,000 copies sold in Europe. So there you go. It is probably a pretty good book then. The one thing I will say, though, is it's definitely an adult, mature readers. You're saying it's mature readers, 16 and up. But the cartoony artwork looks so suitable for all ages, and I just, wow, that's one of the confusing things about comics these days. You do these artwork that's really something that you think would be good for kids, and then you do something that's at a level that's for adults. I don't know. But I'm looking at it, and I'm going to probably get that. That's on page 247. And then we have Traveling to Mars #2, which I talked about last month on the August 30th episode. This is, of course, where the guy leaves for Earth. He's building on Mars himself. Pardon me, by himself. And I don't know where that's going to go, but we'll see. That's pretty much all from Ablaze that really grabbed my attention. Next is Frank Miller Presents. And it's interesting. Apparently, he's just going to be an idea guy and let others do all the work for him. Frank Miller's Pandora, page 254, is written by other people and drawn by Emma Kubert. The concept seems okay. What if you had everything? What if you could have everything you ever wanted, but it was at everyone else's expense? Drawn to a mystic relic that can deliver all of her heart's desires, Annabeth Dean uses this power to attempt to recreate the world, and fill her empty life with friendship and love. But power comes at a price, and her perfect new world is replacing the real world around us. The concept's okay. I think that Emma's art looks really nice. Not just for the cover, but there is some interior artwork as well. I'll show you some of the interior art here. Let's see if I can get you a good look at it. There we go. That's a lot better. Wish the camera frame would sharpen a little bit better, but it's not bad art at all. So, I mean, it's certainly better than anything Frank Miller's going to draw these days. I don't know if you've seen his artwork lately. We're not going to talk about that. I don't want to, scare everybody away. But I'm kind of, I don't know. That was their thing there. And there you go. Make sure you check that out, though. Now, what else do we have? Oh, we're in the rest of the catalog section now, aren't we? Yes, we are. And the truth is, it's been kind of weak this month. There's a few things here and there. Even stuff I'm mentioning here, like Titan's Mouth and Light. But, I mean, if you like Terry Moore, and you should, the Parker Girls book on page 258, certainly okay. Certainly worth getting. if you like American mythology, they do have Zorro and Fright Night, and they're not bad comics for what they are. Not enough for me to buy them, but I do have a budget I gotta try and keep too. I can't get everything. We keep going through the early stuff, and I'm not really seeing a whole heck of a lot. I wish I was seeing more from AWA. I wish I was seeing more from just these companies. I mean, I can't say that Diamond's not trying. They're bringing new stuff in. I'm just not it's not particularly grabbing my attention, unfortunately. But I can't say that they aren't trying. Of course, on page 290 and 291, they do have Gary Shipman's Titan Masamite is now being released to Diamond for those of you who didn't back it in the crowdfunding era for the last 2-3 years. You can get those issues as regular comics. And this will be the stuff that's the same stuff that you already bought in trades. It's just going to be broken down in individual issues at $4.99 an issue. I think it is. Yep, $4.99. So if you've already backed it, gotten the trades, this is, what you get. That's from Blood Moon Comics. Let's see. Fanatico Enterprises has some really interesting stuff on page 311. They're reprinting the classic 1960s horror comic Weird, and they have some trading cards featuring classic horror art from EYRIE Publications. In other words, they're taking like the cover art and putting them on trading cards. So if you're a member of that stuff, a fan of that kind of stuff, definitely go check that out on page 311. Let me go ahead and show you that page so you can get an idea. EYRIE Publications assaulted newsstands with the most explicitly violent and gore-drenched and downright dangerous covers to ever appear on newsstands. Now they're a card set, the bloody card set. And you get, I don't know how many cards, but let's see how many cards they're offering here. The bloody trading card set is 55 cards for $20. So there's that. And then there's a preview exclusive version that's $5 more because you get an extra 5-card subset of Virgin cover art without the trade dressing on it. So there you go. Then of course they have Weird #1 and #2 as facsimile editions. These are reprints, and they're $13 each. They're 48 pages, black and white, pretty much like what those Shudder comics I've been reviewing are like. Only this is from the 60s, so you probably got some really cool artwork. Carl Burgos is doing some of this stuff. Bob Powell is doing some of this stuff. So it should be some pretty cool stuff in here. I don't know. I don't know what's in this stuff. I've never seen it, but it sounds interesting. I might get it. We'll see. Of course, there is the Kill Lock Artisan Wraith from IDW on page 329. As you all know, I've been reading the Kill Lock in the singles, but just so you know, it's available in a trade paperback. So if you guys don't, if you liked some of the reviews I've done on that series, you can get it in trade now. And of course, all the Godzilla comics from my kaiju loving friends, you know who you are. That's also on page 329 of the catalog. Holler #7 by Jeremy Massey, who I've been reviewing regularly. Issue number 7 is offered on page 333 by It's Alive Publishing. And then we have the complete Silent Invasion set from NBM Publications on 342. And Oni has Nick Keckley's, not Pin's Lemonade, but Pink Lemonade on issue number 4 on page 347. I noticed on page 357 that Justin Murphy has listed his War Party comic. That kind of raised an eyebrow to me because that's an Indiegogo book that is still in demand and has not been fulfilled to backers yet. And that kind of is a no-no in my book. But, that's kind of a weird one there. But maybe he'll have it released before this stuff. Because remember, this is stuff that's coming out in December. So, on the stand. So maybe he'll be fulfilling in October or something. Who knows for sure. Rocket Ship Entertainment has Spirits, the Soul Collector, Volume 1, graphic novel 359. It's an all-ages comic. It follows a 12-year-old Will Thompson as he learns to see spirits around him and use them to rescue his younger brother's stolen soul. This won the Bleeding Cool Reader's Choice Award for Best Supernatural Comic. I don't know how or when. I am assuming it was a digital comic and they won it on the digital. Now it's in print. That would make sense. So there is that. From Scout Comics, Frank Martin, our friend Frank, who I've reviewed for some of his crowdfunding stuff. His crowdfunding comic Grimspace is now being released at Scout on page 360 with 2 covers for issue number 1. I can't remember if this is the same story I crowdfunded and reviewed or if this is something new. I will have to recheck that. Didn't have time at time of show. There is also Lost Souls Haywire by Daryl Nickerrealm. And it's about Bob, who's a psychiatrist for robots, and he hates his job. And it's kind of like this interesting storyline that got him kind of interesting to see where that goes. And that's on page 361. Of course, we have Tomorrow's, which is one of the better publishers for comics historians and stuff like that. And hold on a second. There on page 377, we have the Life and Art of Dave Cockrum. There's 2 versions, a soft cover and a hard cover, 160 pages. Of course, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with Dave, whether it's his work with the Legion of Superheroes or the X-Men, and his redesigns of many of those characters. And of course, his own work, the Futurians, and other stuff that he's done. So there's lots to talk about there. There's also Modern Masters Volume 19, Mike Plug. That is always going to be worth looking at as well. If you don't know who Mike Plug is, he's one of the most popular 1970s horror comic artists. Worked on Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night and Ghost Rider. And definitely a top guy to check out. On 378, I missed something. I did see Digger unearthed, and again, this seems to be the same edition I backed as a crowdfunding. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on there. I'm hoping that it'll be fulfilled and I'll get it before the actual book comes out through Diamond. I see we're doing that a lot. It's the second or third one in this catalog. But there's also Ginseng Roots by Craig Thompson. Ginseng Roots is, of course, is something that we always talk about and get here. And so let me check that off because I missed it in my original going through the catalog. And then there's Woodwork, which is Wallywood Classics, Cowboys, and Country Girls. And this is his definitive collection of all the Wallywood Western comics, where he did over 200 pages from between 1949 and 1972. So you're going to get roughly nearly 200 pages, 190 pages. And so you get all the Western comics that Wallywood did in this collection. That's kind of interesting to me. I'd like to see what Wally Wood actually did back then, because Wally Wood is, of course, a legend in the business. And last but not least, on page 397, we have C2 Comics offering a Weird Al Yankovic illustrated songbook. Apparently, it's 160 pages. And it's top cartoonist to express Al's Yankovisions visually within the book's pages. And it's 20 different songs interpreted by such artists as Bill Plimpton, Peter Bagg, Michael Cooperman, and more. And that is actually kind of weird. That's actually, I don't know. That's kind of cool. I've got a maybe by that. I might actually check into that. And there's a few other things that may also be checked out. But that's the majority of everything. That's all that I really want to talk about from previews this month. I'm sure there is more in here that will interest some of the rest of you out there. So be sure to ask your retailer for a copy of previews, buy it, and shop through it yourselves. And that is our show for the previews. We still have one more element to talk about, though, and that is the crowdfunding that we didn't get into this week, that because I was busy doing other things. So let's get into the crowdfunding next. Quite a lot to talk about there as well. It's all Kickstarter this week, unfortunately. I didn't have a chance to look through Indiegogo. But let's start with Halloween stuff. The Halloween House 2 by Kayla Peters. It's got 15 days to go. It's about 2/3 away of its $300 goal. There's 14 backers. There is a little 16-page color comic book about a girl named Annie, who has a sinister streak that's more nasty than her supernatural housemates. She published Halloween House 1 last year, and she's back with another one for this year. And she's trying to resist. Annie is trying to resist her murderous urges while her dad tells her to make friends with the neighborhood trick-or-treaters. Okay, sounds interesting. She looks relatively young. She's currently graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University with a BFA in Communication Arts, and she does a webtoon called Strange Taste. So there you go. It's really not a kid's comic, though. Even though she does kind of a kid's art, it's more of a geared toward a teenage or older audience. You can get digital editions, $3 each, for the 12-page issue 1 and the 16-page part 2. You can get Halloween House 1 print edition with the PDF or 2, or you can get all print editions for $15. There's also a sticker pack for $20 as well. $500 gets all of the print copies signed. $700 gets whoever bought a print edition of the comic will receive a secret prismatic stickers, which there are some stretch goals. And here is some of the artwork. And the artwork looks pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's a nice little underground type cool comic. You know, it looks fun. All the other people, they're talking about what they did to scare people, and she pulls out a guy's name. She goes, I severed this guy's head. You killed someone? Well, yeah, that's kind of the stuff we do here, right? No, we're spooky, not freaking homicidal. We're talking about lighthearted scares, not scarring them for life. So it's funny. I like it. So I'll probably pick this up, and I think it'll probably reach its goal of $300 of 15 days ago of being 2/3 there. But the hold on a second, real quick. Let me go ahead and copy that link real quick. All of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, I have links to in the description below, but I'm going to go ahead and also post them here on screen. There is the one for Halloween House 2. There is your Kickstarter link to it. Okay, our next one is Mandrill PI. And as you can see, it's surpassed its 2,000 goal. It's got 158 backers. It's got 10 hours left, folks. So this is the last bastion of hope for you if you want to get this series. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Author of Mandrill PI and the Multiverse Askew trilogy. I'm here to talk about my newest project, Mandrill PI the Comic, issue number 3. It's ultimately a...
We're not going to go into listening to him talk about all the whole length there because his audio is really quiet. But it's a really cool book. Christopher Brimage is the creator. He's the writer. And I forget who the artist is off the top of my head. Does he have it listed here? No. But here's some of the artwork. And you can always check. There is a 12-page prequel story that you can look at online. I already backed this. I got the physical catch-up. I got all 3 issues. There you go. Carlos Trigo is the artist. He's from Spain. And, pretty cool dude. And overall, pretty satisfying looking thing. So I'm looking forward to that. There are some variant covers, because everybody does variant covers these days. I don't know. So there you go. Again, I'm back this one, and I will highly recommend that one. Again, there is your Kickstarter link. Okay. Our next one is the Oswald Chronicles. it broke free and couldn't read. Number 1 through 4. This has 6 days to go. It's surpassed its $1,500 goal. It's almost $2,500. It's got 87 backers. Pretty decent story. Oswald Chronicles has been around for a while, so this is like just the most recent story arc. But J.D. Calderon and his artist have been doing this for quite some time, so certainly worth the thing. It isn't a black and white interior cartoon series, as you can see. There's only 500 books going to be listed, printed, and they are signed and numbered. So time to go ahead and get your orders as that. There's the cover art by Jay Gonzalez and more cover art variants. It's more of the interior art. And I believe Jade is the artist for the interior work as well. Yes, there's Jade. So there you go. And of course, she's done the Oswald Chronicles since 2010. So they've been doing this for 12 years. So, this is a certainly responsible and respectable team. You can get issues 3 and 4 for $20. You can get the alternate covers, all kinds of stuff, add-ons, including getting all 4 issues for the series. So, and all the artwork is already done. So you're going to get this thing pretty much turnover relatively quickly. Haven't backed it, probably will back it. I just hadn't had a chance to fulfill that just yet. Let's see here. There again is your link to the Kickstarter. And again, all the links to all of these are in the description of the video. We'll go ahead and let you.
Hello, my friends and fellow Oswaldians. This is J.D. Calderon, the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles. What I have for you today is issues 1 through 4 of It Broke Free and Couldn't Read. In this grand adventure, Oswald finds Dauphin, a warrior gnome, half dead only inches from his home. After barely saving his life, with the help of his neighbor Diane, Dauphin explains how an evil has taken root across the street from Oswald's home. Oswald knows that place, and the spider that dwells there that even he gives wide birth to. And Dauphin reveals that now it's paired with an ancient evil that nearly killed his newfound friend. What will an aspiring sorcerer and gentle mouse do? Here we have issues 3 and 4, plus issues 1 and 2 for those who missed the prior campaign, along with all covers by Manuel Mannix and series regular artist, the incredible Jade Gonzalez. We also have Virgin covers, Prismatic Foil covers, and sketch covers available. So please, find the level that best suits you. Thank you for your time, and watch out for the future, because Oswald is here. JD out.
And of course, like I say, worth checking out. And we'll most likely pre-order this. That's within the next week or so. All right. We also have EYRIE Magazine by our friend Mike Hoffman, right here in the Columbia, South Carolina area. He's actually from Irmo. And He's got 52 hours left to go. Got 94 backers. Clearly, he's got over his pledged goal, almost $2,000 out of a $100 goal he wanted. You can get all 12 issues as add-ons if you haven't picked this up. Again, if you've watched my show, you've watched me talk about Shudder Magazine, or if you like the CREEPSHOW stuff that I showed you a little bit, that's what this is. It's that kind of throwback to that classic 50s, 60s horror type comics. Let's see what they have to say.
There's a magazine to make you scream. It's called EYRIE. The best magazine on the hardest scenes called EYRIE. Now nothing's quite the same once it gets inside your brain. You can't remember your name. You'll drive you insane. Yeah. It's called EYRIE.
Okay. All the music was actually Mike doing the stuff because he's also a musician. But I wish he'd done a little bit more than that and explained things more, but it's okay. This is number 12 again. There's 6 stories in it. He writes some of them. Other people write some of them, including Jason Crawley, Trevor Denham, and Manik Deboto, Robert Smith, Rob Moran, Juan Rendo. But it's very similar, as you can see in the format, to the Shudder type magazine. So, if you like the Shudder stuff, you might like this as well, or, it might even be better depending on what you think. So, and of course, they're offering all 11 back issues at discount, so you can get the full collection, and you can have all of the orders signed by Hoffman as well. So what are the support platforms? Well, the physical edition is $12. The hardcover edition is $32. $75 is a remark edition, and then all the back issue collections are as a add-on. So I can't tell you how much it costs to get all of them because I haven't backed the project to let you know. I wish they would tell me, but they didn't. But yeah, there you go. And I wish there'd been a little bit more artwork shown, but Hoffman's pretty solid artist on that sort of thing, so I don't think you'll have a problem with recommending that. I'm pretty sure that it's worth checking out if you are into that kind of comic book. There is the Kickstarter link to that as well for EYRIE Magazine number 12. We got 2 more to go, folks. We have The After Realm by Mike Hoffman. There's 9 days to go on that. It's not quite to its $9,000 goal. It's at 85, just short of 8,500. We've got 9 days to go, 206 backers. Let's take a look at it.
The time of order has passed. Ragnarok has torn all 9 realms asunder.
Now, Una must rely on her ranger skills and her mother's living sword, Glimslade, to survive. Together with her trusted guardian, Puka, they follow the ley lines of strange lands, searching for friends lost in this broken wilderness. With only her magic runes to guide her, Una must save Elfheim from both the old gods and the new. Follow these adventures and more in the After Realm.
They're saying at 94% of its goal, but it does have under $500 to go for the next 9 days. I love the voiceover work on this video. It sounds like the voiceover guy from Thundark the Barbarian. So that sounded kind of cool, but I don't know. For those of you who don't know who Mike Hoffman is, a very successful artist. He was the partner of Brian Bendis on Powers. He also did a series called The Victories for Dark Horse, and this is his current story. He did do it through Image initially. Sales weren't that good, though, and he wasn't getting the kind of support he deserved, so he went to crowdfunding. And so this is issue number 5, and let's see what he's got available. $15 for cover A or B. You can get the first digital all 5 for the first complete arc for $20. There's a Dan Brereton variant cover as well. Let's see. There's some of the preview art there. Looks good, if you've been following it. There's a free story sample that you can check on the page if you want to, check out the story before you buy. This is the cover for A. That's the cover for B. I don't know. I guess she's not going to show you the Dan Brereton cover until it's already fulfilled or something. I don't know. You can get, of course, you can buy any of the KS covers from Image or KS for issues 1, 2, and 3, and 4. There's a Power sticker sheet. There's other stuff that you can get. So there's all kinds of cool stuff here. I'm probably going to get, I don't know. I had to think about this. I'm kind of thinking I'm probably going to just get the regular A cover myself. But, I don't know. I wish he'd show the Brereton cover because I like Daniel Brereton, but I don't know. I don't know. I hate for it to just show up and then not be happy with it because sometimes Dan's hit and miss with me on the covers. So I probably will just go with the other, and then if he has extras, I can always add on later or something, I guess. But that is what I will be backing as well. And let's go ahead and there you go. There's the Kickstarter link to that. Someone just asked me where are all the viewers. There's a couple people that have popped in and out, but my regular viewers, I was so late, I never got a quick notice out to everybody to let them know that the show was starting. So they're probably busy doing things. This is a little bit earlier in the day, and you're probably working and stuff. So they'll catch it all on the back end. I know that, on replay, and that's fine. Last but not least is Weird Work 1 through 3 by Jordan Thomas, with art by Shaky Kane and a variant cover by Jeff Darrow. As you can see, it's well past its goal, almost more than double its goal, 402 backers with 9 days to go. I'm going to probably get this. How much is all three here? Let's see what we got here. About $25. Okay, 22 pounds, $25. So you get that's what I'll probably get. Shaky Kane, interesting artist. There is your Jeff Darrow cover as well. Pretty interesting thing there going on. Weird Work has 40 pages of the final issue. A gang war erupted 18 months ago in Septimus Prime's capital, Stellar City, and it's up to the party to figure out what's going on. As Detective Avra Sauce has to figure out where all the dead bodies are, and he's going to be the lead detective on the case. He's paired with a new partner, Donut Trusta. Don't you trust me? Don't I trust you? It's up to Avra to solve the mystery, which seems to combine the fight for power in the underworld, a new designer drug, froth, and the secrets from the city's past that were thought long buried. And of course, this is pretty interesting stuff. And Shaky Kane's always got a kind of a weird art style to begin with, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. You certainly have some odd looking graphics that should be interesting to look at, if nothing else. You get a sticker bundle, you can get glow-in-the-dark sketch covers, all kinds of stuff here. So you can even get original artwork that you can actually buy from the comic. So there you go. But I'm not going to get any original art, but I hope other people do. Certainly worth your time, but I'm sticking just to the books for this one, I think. Yeah, lots of cool stuff in here, including other books like Metallic Dynamite, as you can see, as an add-on. That's a science fiction anthology, which has a Weird Work short story in it. It's 88 page rather, with an 112 page oversized hardcover edition as well. So there's two versions of that. And, who knows for sure. But there's also other projects as well that Jordan worked on. So, quite a bit of stuff here. Worth your time to look at. And I will give you the link to that as well here. Whoops. There we go. Hold on. There you go. And like I said, I'm definitely getting, I've already backed Mandrill. Pretty much all of these I'm going to back. I don't think there's one here that I saw, because sometimes I do mention stuff that I'm not going to back myself, but I think other people might be interested in. This is all stuff I'm actually going to back, so I will be reviewing these when I get them eventually. And I believe that is it, folks, for the crowdfunding review time. And that covers this crazy, almost hour and a 45-minute episode. I'll be back in a little while, about 3 hours, to discuss the new Quantum Leap 2022 edition that aired this past Monday as our Friday night discussion. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, as always. Appreciate it. If you like this episode or you think others might like the information or the reviews or any of this stuff, do me a favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button that you see below to get more content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. To reach me on social media, Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2. You can find more of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven, exclusively on YouTube. Questions, comments, suggestions for topics of discussion, Quoth the Raven LBR72 at gmail.com is where you try to reach me. And if I don't get back to you in a day or two, try LewisBrightRaven at yahoo.com. See you guys on the flip side at 8 p.m. talking about Quantum Leap. Until then, have a great day, folks.